had a rough start just before, as you can see. It is storming. Oh my lord, it is storming like Thor is angry at Midgard right now. I don't know what's going on, but my wife noticed that the gutters were overflowing, so she just asked me to, in the rain, go out there and clear some of the gutters. She's always terrified that the roof is gonna get filled with water. So she might be right. So I did it, and it was like an explosion of water shooting out of the gutters once I cleared it out. So as always, let's start this off with some Tim Hortons advertisement. Here we go. Tim Hortons delicious coffee. I'll do some coffee drinking. Is that ASMR? Is that what that's called? Sound? Yeah. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Some ASMR coffee. Ah, there we go. There we go. That's the good stuff. As you can see, I do not have that microphone hooked up, and I do not have the tripod because when I went live, it changed everything, and it was like way too close. So I wasn't prepared for that. So I deleted my little short test run and started over again. I still got to figure out what I'm doing. Uh, so I don't know. Maybe with these lives, I'll have to do this in my head. Let me know if the sound is okay. I'm not using my mic. If for some reason that it's very temperamental. It works some days. It doesn't work other days. Uh, I know my the port on my phone is filthy because from my job I'm a construction worker, and I have to keep my phone on me because I'm in charge of deliveries and things like that. So wherever I go, I have to. So my phone gets into some dirty situations, and I clean it. But like when you charge it, you have to make sure that it's charging. And I'm not buying another phone. I just paid off this phone, so there you go. That's that. That's me whining clay. But what I'm really doing is I'm just stalling till there's people. I saw somebody popped in, took a look at my ugly face, and left. That's fine. My wife does the same thing. All right. I'll just start talking about comics in general until I see people. All right. So last week, if you recall, if you were here, I did Marvel 2-in-1 Annual #2. That was with Thing and Spider Man joining in on this battle. So this is part one of that battle, and the other comic is part two. So we will see why the Avengers are trapped and beat up and you know in some trouble. If I was a smarter person, if I had prepared, I would have remembered the date for the last one and the date of publication just to see how far away these two comics came out. You know, but you know, hindsight is 2020. So again, just to stall a little bit more, let's talk about this. So first off, this I bought off the rack. I don't remember exactly where it was when I bought this, but I was super excited as you probably see, because I think I bought this after I got the Marvel 2-in-1 comic because I didn't know what was going on in Marvel 2-in-1. I remember that much. I just remember looking at the cover and get super excited. So I got a thumbs up. Okay, somebody's there. Thank you, thank you. I'm always kind of like a little, what's the word, trepidatious until I get a thumbs up, until I get an acknowledgement that everything is okay. But anyway, so thank you, whoever you are. Just say hello in the chat. Say hello in the chat. Let's be friendly. We're talking comics. It's Sunday. Welcome. Oh, Abrax. Good morning, Abrax. Oh, good issue. Okay. Thank you, Abrax. Thank you for the confirmation. Everything sounds good. All right. So, hey, Lacey Lee's here. Hey, Lacey, we missed you last week. It was a good one. I really liked that comic last week. Everybody got good weather by you? It is pouring. It is pouring. Oh man, Deshevitz, is it pouring where I am right now? I don't know if you heard what I was saying, but my wife had me go out into to the gutter and pull leaves and sticks out because the gutter was just overflowing, and she thinks probably with some merit that the water will back up and go into the roof that over the garage. That would just be terrible. I just fixed up the garage, so I went out, got my ladder, cleaned out the gutter, and boom, it was like a geyser. But nobody cares about that. Okay, so focus, focus. Sip of coffee. Plus, I slept really late. It was awesome. Went to the chiropractor yesterday. My back was bothering me, and He cracked my neck and he cracked my back. He got that one spot that's been bothering me. Oh man. So I couldn't wait to go to bed. I knew once my back got cracked like that, I was gonna sleep. And did I sleep? It was excellent. All right, but nobody cares. Let's talk about this. So I'm pretty sure, and I can't remember. I'm pretty sure that I got this well after I got the Marvel 2-in-1. So because like I said, I remember not knowing what was going on in Marvel 2-in-1. Like I needed the recap to explain everything. So there we go with that. So I got this later on. I'm pretty sure I got it off the rack because I wouldn't have bought it beat up. But I don't remember like bringing this. This would have been a comic that I would have thrown in my folder and everything. But so I'm pretty sure I bought this off the rack, but I don't remember. Anyway, let's focus this. So look at this glorious. Right, I'm beginning now. I was stalling to other people, but I can't stand listening to myself stall anymore. So let's begin. Hi, welcome to John's Longbox. This is Sunday Comics. Today we're looking at Avengers Annual number 7, 60 cents, 1977. What a great year for comics. For those of you who were here last week, I showcased the second half of this. I seem to do that a lot here. I pick a comic that I'm like fondly remembering, and I pick a comic that's important or whatever reason, and then it reminds me, oh, I should have done this first, but I don't have a time machine. So, this is part one to last week's part two. And part one was in the Avengers Annual. And for those of you who may or may not know, for those of you who are, as old as me, annuals used to be a big deal. Annuals used to be important. You didn't want to miss an annual. Paradoxically, you didn't know when they were coming out. Back in 1977, there was no internet. There was no, almost, there were no comic book stores. You just found, hey, good morning, Jeff. You just found the comics as they showed up in the newsstands. So it was exciting. And comic books, they would sit on the newsstands for like 3 or 4 months before they got shipped back. So you had like a good time to pick them up. But if they sold out, if the store only got like 10 copies of Avengers Annual number 7, and they sold 10, you will poop out of luck unless you found it someplace else. And I remember doing that so many times. Oh my God, the new Avengers came out. And then you go back and it's gone. So then you have to go around the neighborhood on your bicycle, or I would go with my mother food shopping when she went to, because there was a they don't have them anymore, big cigar store, Optimo, and Optimo had the whole back wall was all magazines and comics, and I used to like going there as a little kid because they would have all the Easy Riders and Playboys right next to the comic book, so you could this is before the internet. You wanted to sneak peek of boobies, you had to go to Optimo and pretend to want to go food shopping with your mom, and then hang out there for an hour. Look, I'm gonna look at this Ghost Rider. I'm gonna look at this Fantastic Four boobies, and then then the guy would yell at you, and then you had to buy something and leave. So you had to be a ninja booby thief to catch that stuff back in 1977. You young whippersnappers, you get your boobies easy these days. Okay, so this was a big deal. Look, we got Thanos over here. We got Adam Warlock looming in the distance, and oh my God! Now that I'm talking about it, now that I'm waking up, now that I got some caffeine into my system, I remember I did get Marvel 2-in-1 number 2 first, and I was talking about it, and my friend Carl, I don't know how, I don't know where he was, but he always seemed to get the comics before me, and he was like that kind of kid that took delight in spoiling. Part of me thinks he was probably just very excited, but part of me looking back thinks that he just liked lording it over you, that he knew stuff. Like we all had friends like that. We all did stuff like that when we were little kids. And he would talk about this. But I'm not going to spoil it. I mean, I will spoil it, but I'm not going to spoil it right now. So let's just look at this. We got the Avengers, classic Avengers, drawn by Jim Starlin over here. This is just awesome. Jim Starlin, to me, he is just one of the most amazing comic book creators of all time. You can see it's a little bit beat up, but that's what you get for buying comic books 1977. Stan Lee wishing he looked that good, pizzazz. And here we got the final threat. So as I talked about many times, the Jim Starlin took over the cosmic part of Marvel Comics after Jack Kirby left. Now, I don't know if that was by design. I don't know if that was a coincidence. All I know is that it happened. So at this point, Jack Kirby is at DC. He's doing his well, I take that back. Jack Kirby left around 71, and he was just about to come back, if not coming back right now. So Jack Kirby was gone for a while, and Stan Jim Starlin was doing all the cosmic stuff. Captain Marvel, Adam Warlock. He created Thanos, and he was weaving a story throughout all of Marvel Comics. So this is okay. So the credits are out of order as far as so the finishing is Joe Rubenstein. First off, Joe Rubenstein. If you were a comic book creator, a comic book artist, you would be real lucky to get Joe Rubenstein. I think he's just a phenomenal talent. Nothing else to say. Lettering by Tom Orzechowski. From now on, he shall be referred to as Tom Unpronounceable. Just a classic artist, letterer at Marvel Comics. He's been there for a while, and I think he did some DC work too. Coloring by Petra Goldberg. Petra G, as she's more commonly known, is a workhorse over at Marvel. She's been there for forever. Petra Goldberg. Editing is Archie Goodwin. This, if you notice, this is the same exact team that did the Marvel 2-in-1. Okay, and other manual labor, Jim Starlin. So I'm looking at this. So Jim Starlin is the writer, and he does the layouts. And Joe Rubenstein is doing the finishes. So I'm thinking he probably did this and the other annual at the same time. And in order to beat the dreaded deadline doom, we had Joe Rubenstein doing. When it says finishing, he's doing more than inks. And I love that when they do the roster. We got the Beast, and these are the Avengers. These were my Avengers. This is when I started collecting the Avengers. This was pretty much the team. So we got Beast, and that's why, like I said, as a kid, I didn't realize that the human-looking Beast was the same character. I thought maybe they were switcheroos or some sort of like alternate versions or whatever. Or one was Golden Age, one was because they did that stuff a lot. So I didn't know. I didn't know that Hank McCoy was once human-looking. Captain America, Iron Man, Moondragon. Oh, that's right. We're going to see some Moondragon in this particular issue. Scarlet Witch, Thor, and that's another Jim Starlin creation. Vision, and guest star Captain Marvel. It's funny that it says guest star, but in my mind, Captain Marvel was an Avenger, even though he wasn't really. All right, so look at this shot. Tell me that's not cinematic. Tell me that is not, just glorious. We got this red caped figure, just it's an alien world. Just look at this. So what does it say? Behind and before him, ruins. No need to rush. He has traveled billions of miles from Earth to this small planetoid to discover exactly what he feared. His steps are steady and unhurried, for it's obviously too late. And let's look at the Adisha, even though we know. We got All Rights Reserved, Volume 1, Number 7, 1977. Yep, we knew that already, but I like to show that. So look at this. This darkness on an alien planetoid just floating around. Adam Warlock is just, couldn't you just picture this in a movie? And I know it's kind of crummy to always like elevate movie status. Like it's now better. It's now more important because it's in a movie. To me, comic books are the ultimate form of superhero fantasy entertainment. I mean that. I truly do. But I understand that a movie does add veritas, not veritas, gravitas to a character or to a story, because it's more popular medium. Let's face it, millions and millions of people will watch a Marvel movie, whereas 100,000 people will read a comic book. It's just a fact. So, but just imagine this, if Marvel did this MCU movie, and then what do we got here? We got Gamora laying. He's just going across this alien starscape, and look at this shot. Jim Starlin is just a master. Look at that. He goes, the master left me for dead, and the darkness, the shadow. He did this to you, who you served him so faithfully. Why? I uncovered stellar genocide. He hates our life. He's quite mad, and we all know who he's talking about. He wants to kill everyone, and now he's got the power to do so. You have to stop him. You, only you. There's only one person he fears in the entire universe. You. As well he should, for there is no place among the stars where he will be safe from me. What is? Tell me that is not an awesome opening. You don't know what's going on, but they're just giving it to you. Oh, it's so good. He goes, but it will not be. I alone shall not be his hunter. You shall be with me. And then look at this flash of light. You see this sizzling, and he comes walking out alone. What did he just do? What did he just do? He unleashed the Soul Stone. So this was the original of the Infinity Stones. So at this point, the concept of the Infinity Stones hasn't been created yet. That's just one of the it's a good thing about comics and it's a bad thing about comics. It's mostly a good thing, but lately it's been a bad thing. So let me explain my thoughts of that. So Jim Starlin, I firmly believe that he was inspired by the Elric of Melniboné books. The Michael Moorcock, the author, had the concept of the Eternal Champion, and the Eternal Champion was this one soul that was spread out among different universes into the same being. So just think of a gem, but we could only see one facet at a time. And as you rotate into other dimensions, you see different aspects of the gem. I don't know. I'm going into that. That doesn't really need to explain the soul gem. But one of those aspects was Elric of Melniboné, and Elric of Melniboné had a magic sword, Stormbringer. It was a sentient being, and it was a malevolent sentient being, and it kind of amped up your mental state so that you always wanted to battle. You were always ready to fight. You were always on edge. And then what it did was when it stabbed people like a vampire, it would drink their blood, and it would devour their soul. And that was how it maintained its power. As a reward, it would transfer some of that power to the wielder of the sword, and you got more powerful, and it became like a drug. You wanted to do it because it felt good. You got powerful. Let me drink more coffee, and so on. Now, that's what this gem does. It's the soul gem. It could devour people's souls, and then they live within the infinity that is the soul gem. So she was dying, so he just unleashed the power of the soul gem and took her into his mind, into his, whatever you want to call it, being, essence, whatever. So he's got like the power of Gamora in her and in the gem, and now he's furious because basically he just killed. She was dying anyway, and who knows where Adam Warlock and Gamora are going to go when they die. But now he knows that her soul is bound to him for all eternity because he's the bearer of the soul gem. Now, what was I saying about good or for bad? That was the idea. Then later on, Jim Starlin came up with the idea, oh, there's more than just a soul gem. There's the power gem, there's the mind gem, there's the reality gem, there's the whatever, the space gem. And he called them all the Infinity Stones. But first there was just the soul gem, and I do believe that it was inspired by Michael Moorcock and Elric. So now he's just furious, and he goes off to flight. Now, Adam Warlock, I forget how he got the soul gem, but Adam Warlock is like one of the only beings powerful enough to contain the ravenous appetites of the soul gem. So, of course, it's a stormy night. Of course, now we're in Manhattan. It's a stormy night. Look at this. Iron Man feeling ominous. All the Avengers. I love how, like, this is something that they don't really do anymore. Like, I guess it's not realistic, but comic books are not realistic. But nowadays, they would all be out of costume. They'd be sitting around drinking coffee and what have you. But not in 1977, not in a comic book drawn by Jim Starlin. Even doing nothing, the Avengers are cool looking. Iron Man's in his costume. I mean, how annoying would that be to constantly wear an Iron Man costume? And Captain America wearing chainmail all the time? It's got to be uncomfortable. And this headdress, but I could see Thor's always wearing that because that's Thor. And he just wears a bathing suit. And I imagine him wearing clothes would be uncomfortable with all the fur, but I digress. But just look how awesome this looks. This is the Avengers downtime doing nothing, and they're awesome looking. They're talking about what's going on. Iron Man saying he just has a feeling. He can't predict what's going on. He's a scientist. Like he doesn't do well with feelings. He needs logic and fact. And he's like, yeah, well, you should learn to trust your feelings. Who? Captain Marvel. Look at him and Moondragon. Now, I already explained both of them, but I guess I'll do but every video is somebody's first video, so I guess I'll talk a little bit about Captain Marvel and Moondragons. First, I got to talk about Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, the meta story of Captain Marvel is Captain Marvel Shazam. Billy Batson was made, and immediately after he was created, DC sued Fawcett Comics for copyright infringement because Captain Marvel was too much like Superman. The They kept dragging out the court. They kept dragging it out. So it lasted until 1954 when Fawcett Comics just said, "Forget it, we're done. We're not fighting this anymore." And part of the settlement, I think they gave Captain Marvel to DC Comics, and then DC Comics just sat on it and squashed it because, comic books, remember, took a hit from those congressional hearings. So that was the end of the original Golden Age Captain Marvel, my favorite. Every panel could be a cool poster. Yes, I agree with you. Look at that. Look at that panel. And look at this. Yeah, this is Jim Starlin, baby. This is comic books. This is comic books at its apex. You are not going to get any better. Good comment. So Captain Marvel was gone, and then they had like a bunch of like squatter Captain Marvels. As the guy who said split Zam, and he was an android, and his body flew apart into a million pieces and whatever. So in 1974, I think no. In 1968, the Marvel lawyers noticed that the copyright or trademark, I forget which legal term, expired, and they were like, "Oh, we could have a Captain Marvel comic." So they jumped on it, and I don't know if this is true or not, but Stan Lee retroactively says that he didn't want to do it. It didn't feel right, but Marvel Comics has got to have a guy named Captain Marvel. You know what I mean? So I can understand. So they made up Captain Marvel. Marvel being Stan Lee, to his credit, he made him as different from Billy Batson as possible. So Marvel was a Kree. It was already established that there was the Kree. And I think the Kree were blue, but they couldn't have a blue superhero. So they said that there was more races of Kree. So there was Caucasian race and there was a blue race. And they sent Marvel to Earth because he could fit in and blend, and he was a spy. So he was an advanced agent spying on Earth. He was a bad guy. He met Carol Danvers. She was in the first issue. And this was Marvel Superheroes number 15, I think was his first appearance. And he liked the humans. He realized that the Kree were oppressive and warlike, and he didn't particularly like them. So he switched sides, and he became a good guy. There's the origin of Captain Marvel. He actually got cancer and died. He got cancer from one of his villains, Nitro, who he had the ability to explode himself. And he exploded. Captain Marvel fought him, and for some reason that gave him cancer, and he died. And he's still dead. And I don't think he's ever going to come back because of Marvel has invested too much time, money, and effort into the Brie Larson Captain Marvel character. So they're trying to make her the flagship character. I mean, it makes sense on paper that you would have Marvel Comics flagship character be Captain Marvel, but you can't force popularity. Okay, so that's Captain Marvel. Who is Moondragon? Moondragon's secret identity is Heather Douglas. And who is Heather Douglas? Well, Heather Douglas is the daughter of Arthur Douglas. I don't know her mother's name. I don't know if they ever mentioned it. And who is Arthur Douglas? Well, Arthur Douglas is Drax the Destroyer. Yes, in the comic books, Drax the Destroyer is an Earthling. So Arthur, his wife, and his daughter were driving down the road, and I think the Skrulls were fighting the Kree. If I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what was going on. There was like a little epic like fight, and Arthur's car got hit or whatever, and maybe he just saw it and he was like, "What the panic?" I forget exactly, but Arthur Douglas's family car flipped over. The Eternals got involved. So maybe it was the Eternals fighting somebody. Maybe it was the Eternals fighting the Deviants. I forget who the alien races were that were fighting. But they rescued Arthur and Heather. The mother, unfortunately, died right away. They took them to Titan, their home base, their home planet. Arthur was too beat up, so they used, cybernetics and bionics and clone technology and rebuilt his body as Drax the Destroyer. He has no memory of his past life. Did they save him? I don't know. That's for philosophers to decide. But Heather grew up. She was able to, and she lived on a planet of gods, of Eternals, and so naturally she had an inferiority complex. So she became a monk. Through Titanian training, she learned to unlock her mental powers that all human beings have. So she's a world-class telepath. I think that's funny now. I never even realized it before, but I guess to be a telepath in Marvel, you got to be bald. So she's on par with Xavier. She also has telekinesis, and she's also a super skilled hand-to-hand combatant. So she is like peak human. So just picture she is like Captain America, but with you know Phoenix powers, being telekinesis and telepathy. She's actually really powerful, but she's got a chip on her shoulder. She's angry. She's kind of resentful. Maybe because she really didn't grow up with parents. Her father was like kind of not an absent father on his own, but he had no memory of her. He had no attachment to her. He doesn't even refer to her as daughter. He's just Drax the Destroyer. Arthur Douglas' personality is gone. So in a way, Arthur Douglas died, if you ask me. And she took the name when she graduated into this martial arts thing. She took like a code name, and she took the name of the Moon Dragon, and that is like basically the Moon Dragon. As the moons rotate around Jupiter, that there's they create shadows or whatever, and the shadows at certain times look like a dragon, and they because of the gravitational tides, there would be earthquakes on Titan. So whenever they said the moon dragon arises, it was a bad omen. So she took the name of the moon dragon because she was the original bald goth chick. So now they're explaining what's going on. Just look at her intense eyes, and they're saying like Thanos is coming. Bottom panel shows motion by having no one, both feet on the ground. Look, on the page that I just oh, okay, good observation. Yeah, yeah. That is just a master storyteller at his craft. Yes, you're absolutely right. Everybody's just in motion. I was too enwrapped with telling the backstory, but you're absolutely right. There's rain. He's coming in. Like, look, can't you just see the motion of him coming into the window? The motion, she's dripping. You're absolutely right, Pete. It is a cool panel, and here, we got the back of the heads over here in darkness because why? Because we need to see the emotion in their eyes. So Thanos Thanos, Captain Marvel, and Moondragon are explaining the threat of Thanos, and here's everybody's reactions. Thanos is coming to destroy the sun. Now, remember, Thanos. I don't know the movie. Sometimes the movie. What is more aggravating, guys? Let's see if anybody responds to this question. What is more aggravating, when comic book movies completely miss the point of a character, or when comic book movies get really close and then miss the point? Like, to me, Man of Steel is one of the most aggravating superhero movies because they got a good actor, they had a well drawn, they had a good director, they had the budget, but then they missed Superman. They fundamentally missed Superman with him not wanting to save his father, with his father telling him, "Don't save those little kids." Then the people know that they missed the point of Superman. Every Batman movie misses the point of Batman. There hasn't been a good Batman movie. Batman is not Iron Man. Batman's not jumping into the battle, bullets bouncing off of his protective arm. That's Superman's. That's Iron Man's shtick, wearing armor. Batman would not allow himself to get shot. He would sneak in beforehand, take everybody out, like as they're smoking on a smoke break or on the toilet. You know what I mean? That's what Batman does, and especially in the Tim Pat, whatever his name is, the Twilight kid. They wouldn't have Batman going after the Penguin, driving down the LIE, with oil trucks knocking over and gas trucks exploding, killing commuters coming home from work, so he could question the Penguin and then let the Penguin go. No, Batman would have shot a tracer on the car, drove away, got into the Batcopter, followed where the tracer, and then found. But that doesn't make good cinema. Look at the Tim Burton Batman movie. Batman drops a bomb in the plant and kills all of the Joker's minion with a freaking bomb. That's not Batman. And then in the Penguin one, machine guns come out of the Batmobile and just machine gun everybody. That's not Batman. There's never been a Batman movie. So to me, that is really frustrating when they get so close and don't do it. Same with Thanos. Thanos has no illusions of being a good guy. Thanos is a serial killer. Thanos wants to kill because he is in love with death, which is such a creepy, brilliant horror movie concept. Have to disagree. Nolan made two. You notice that I didn't say anything about the Nolan movies, but my problem with the Nolan movies, and this is me, and I will agree that they're pretty close, that Batman doesn't wear body armor. He doesn't stand there and get shot. Batman sneaks up behind you, does the back choke while you're on the toilet. I guess that's not great cinema, but how cool would that be? Batman is like Jason in a horror movie. He should be scary. You know, the Joker sends out his minions, and the minions just like I don't want to do this. But Joker's gonna flat out kill me. But Batman, and as he's talking, whoop, arm behind him takes him out, and the other guy just looks at Batman, drops his gun, and runs away. That's Batman. That Batman armors up his car, gets hit by rockets, jumps in the, you know what I mean? But I digress. But Pete, I will say to you, as far as sticking close to Batman, the Nolan films were the closest. So anyway, back to Thanos. Thanos is in love with the personification of death. How creepy is that? And as such, he wants to kill in order to get close to her. He feels that every time he kills, death is there. It's the only time he could be with the girl he loves. It's like when you were in high school, that imaginary girl from Canada. You want to call Canada. You want to, you feel like you're there with your boyfriend or girlfriend because you're on the phone, even though they're not there. A stupid analogy, but it's all that I could think of. But excuse me. Oh, that was a weird sound. So Thanos wants to kill. That's it. I like to think that he knows it's nonsense, but he's just making excuses. The Nolan films did not get Gotham right. Yes, there was just Gotham is supposed to be a character all on itself. Gotham is supposed to be gothic and dark and gritty. I got to say that I can't think of the guy's name. Reeves, the director's name is Reeves, Matt Reeves, I think. He did Gotham City right in the new one. I don't like the Tim Burton Batman movies. I don't like anything about them. Even in the movie theater when I saw it in 1988. As the credits went up, I just turned to my friend Phil and I was like, "This is bat cheese." That was clever to teenage me. But anyway, Thanos is a killer. He wants to kill. He's in love with death, and every time he kills, he knows that death is in the room with him, and that's how he. Oh, I love you. As he murders people, he whispers, "I love you." How scary is that? So he keeps, but death leaves as soon as the death is gone. So he needs to kill again to bring death around. And then death, so how could he get death to stay with him? I'll up the ante. So he's going to blow up the sun and kill the entire population of the solar system. Remember, it's more than just Earth. There's civilizations on Mars. This is comic book. There's civilizations on Titan. There's civilizations on Uranus, not Uranus, Uranus. And there's all over the place in comic book solar systems. So he's killing. I'm gonna make a number 10 billion just to make it easy. If he kills 10 billion people, maybe now instead of just showing up and leaving, maybe now death will turn around and say, "I love you too." He's the ultimate simp. So that is terrifying. In the comic books, I mean, in the movies, the whole like I'm gonna increase because I love I love life and there's a resource. It is terrible. It is terrible. Now that begs the question. Did the MCU studio people, did they think that was just too scary? Because it is scary. Did they think it was too scary? And they changed it to this stupid villain. There is no illusions of nobility about Thanos. So, the rest of the Avengers are just like, how terrifying is this? Even Moondragon, who is an a-hole. She's a jerk. She is she's half a villain. If Captain Marvel's nobility didn't wash all over her, she was on the way to becoming a villain. Matter of fact, her first name before being Moondragon was Madam McEvil. How horrible is that? Madam McEvil. So even she's terrified of Thanos. He's like, "What do we got to do?" And it's like, Beast is like, "All right, we got to go fight Thanos." He's making a sandwich. He's dealing cards rather, and he's like, "It's him." And then Adam Warlock shows up, and Thor is ready to fight. Why is Thor ready to fight? Because a little bit of backstory on Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock is a created being. He wasn't born. He has no mommy. He has no daddy. He was created in a lab, in a test tube, by a group called the Conclave. And the Conclave was a group of scientists that they wanted to create. They were the worst kinds of scientists. They were religious scientists. That should send shivers up your spine. So they were going to scientifically create a deity to worship. How? I don't know. That to me is terrifying. And they never followed up on it. That again, another wonderful Jack Kirby idea. That how Jack Kirby, Stanley, they are amazing. I'm just amazing. So they were going to create a scientific supreme being. They created and they called him. We will worship him, and that's the only name that he knew before murdering everybody and then flying off into space. The Fantastic Four fought him. He got defeated and died. And they said that whenever he dies, he reverts to this cocoon state and rebuilds himself. So he has regeneration, self-regeneration abilities. And then he came out of the cocoon state. He saw Thor and Sif chilling out in space. He's like, look at that Sif. I like that Sif. I want to get on some Sif action. And he just grabbed Sif. He's like, you're going to be my mate. And Thor and him battled it out. And Thor beat him so hard he died and went into the cocoon state. And that was the last time we saw him. Enter Jim Starlin. Jim Starlin takes this. I used to say lame, but now that I'm talking about it out loud, that is a story in itself. This scientific conclave of religious scientists makes the a being that they could worship. That is actually pretty damn cool. So, and it was forgotten about. That aspect of Adam Warlock is over with. They did an Adam Warlock miniseries that during the 2000s, early 2000s, Marvel did a lot of stuff that wasn't really continuity conscious. And there was an Adam Warlock series. And the only way I could wrap it around my brain was that the Conclave, some people survived the slaughter in the Conclave, and they made Adam Warlock 2. And that's a second supreme being, a second attempt. But keep in mind, why'd they call him Adam Warlock? Because that was all done by other people, but whatever. Never too late to bring it back. Yeah, I agree. In comic books, we could always bring stuff back. So there is like a 4 or 5 issue, beautifully drawn. It's a well done story, but it's not in Marvel continuity. If you ask me, like I can't wrap my head around it, and I'm that kind of guy that needs to dot my I's and cross my T's. And that's around 2005 is when I started to realize that maybe Marvel wasn't for me anymore, because like the new people just don't care about continuity, and that was my bread and butter. I know old timers were hard to please. So anyway. What was I saying? So Jim Starlin reinvents Adam Warlock, and now it's pretty much the high evolutionary finds the cocoon, evolves it a little bit, and then he becomes basically Space Jesus. He's going around. He like sacrificed himself for Earth too, for Counter Earth or whatever, But that's neither here nor there. So now he is bound to, he gets the Soul Gem, and he's bound to Thanos. He's going to defeat Thanos. So his name is Thanos. So Iron Man fought Thanos before. So I was about to say something stupid. I was about to say that they never heard of Thanos, but they fought Thanos before. So here they are. He's talking the whole history of Thanos. This is all the stuff I'm talking about. He's the brother of Eros and Mentor. And at this point, they weren't Eternals, because Jack Kirby didn't create the Eternals yet. So, that's what I'm talking about. Like comic books, they build up on other things. So I have this idea. And then another writer comes, and for good or for bad, I always say it's a Lego. So I make this blue Lego. That's my Lego sculpture. And I'm pleased as punch with my little Lego sculpture. And then somebody else comes and takes my Lego and builds upon it. And that's now a sculpture. And it's improv. There you go. Here's a good analogy. It's improv. So me and Abrax and Pete Rock, we're doing an improv routine. And I say, I have a hat. Oh, Pete, where's your hat? Pete's not allowed to say, I don't have a hat. You have a hat. In improv, you go, yes, I have a hat, but I also have a banana. And then Abrax goes, yes, you also have a banana, but there's a donkey behind you. You never dismiss what the other person says. That's not allowed in improv. Same with comic books. It's in bad form to dismiss what the person says before you, or to completely contradict them. I don't have a hat. You have a hat. What are you, stupid? That doesn't make good improv. Same with comic books. So Jim Starlin, when he took Adam Warlock, he didn't just say, none of that happened. None of the hidden stuff happened. No, he acknowledged it, built upon it, and moved forward. I don't like when other people take off the lower blocks because they don't fit in. You don't have the right to contradict what other people did before you. It's just one of my preachy little nitpicks. So anyway, I forget who it was. I think it was Marv Wolfman made these guys Eternals, but Eternals weren't created yet. So he was just called the Mad God of Titan, and later on he's called the Mad Titan. And this is all of his story, how he's raising an army, he's building a ship, and he's coming to Earth. I've been talking for 40 minutes, and I'm like nowhere near done. So I'm going to pick up the pace. So he's talking about Gamora. He fights Gamora, and Adam Warlock is recalling the death of Gamora, and just setting up the stage. Here comes Pip the Troll. This is the humorous sidekick, and I understand Adam Warlock and Thanos. It is quite scary now that I'm saying it out loud. So I guess they needed to have a humorous sidekick. So here's Pip the Troll. Pip the Troll is an alien. He's horny. He wants to drink. He likes to smoke. He's hedonistic, and he's always trying to get Adam Warlock to relax. Chill out, chill out. Make some lovey doveys. Find some girl and make some lovey doveys. Drink. And Adam was always never too late. You might have to scrape barnacles off the boat. Okay. The like. Just Kevin, I assume that comment is directed about like you don't remove what other people say. Believe me, right now, if I was to take over Marvel Comics, I would have no problems getting rid of some of the nonsense that they did in the past 5 years. And so I guess I'm a hypocrite because they probably look at some of the earlier stuff as nonsense. But like a good example of that is when Garth Ennis took over the Punisher. He took over the Punisher right after the Angel series. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the Punisher had a 4-issue. Punisher died. Okay, like he died, and then they brought him back from the afterlife as an angel, and he had this glyph on his forehead, and he had a ghost gun that shot holy bullets, and it was a 4-issue series, and it was editorial decree. So I don't blame Christopher Golden for writing it. He was just doing what he was supposed to do, and nobody liked it. And then Garth Ennis rebooted. He just welcome back Frank, and he just went on forward as if that Angel series never happened. He just went forward. Just, you know what I mean? So that's how he wasn't disrespectful to Christopher Golden, no relation to Michael Golden, and he went forward. So there you go. Does that make sense, Kevin? Remember, the Beast was one of the top IQ of the Marvel universe. Yes. And at this point, I didn't realize he was a super scientist because, I didn't really get the X-Men at this point. Well, now I did. But when I first started collecting comics in like 1974 and stuff, I didn't really know who the Beast was. I just knew him as the furry goofball in the Avengers. So Pip the Troll is looking for Adam Warlock, his buddy. And who does he bump into? He bumps into Thanos. How scary would that be? And Thanos is just amused by him. Thanos knows he's not a threat. He doesn't kill him because, first off, Thanos is arrogant. Second off, Pip the Troll is not a threat. He's not a threat. He is a goofball. And second of all, Thanos always creates his means of his own defeat. So here's all the Avengers. What are they doing? They're contacting S.H.I.E.L.D. They need a spaceship. Captain Marvel could fly out there. Moondragon obviously got here, so she could withstand space. I never thought of that before. So, unless Moondragon was on Earth at this point, I don't know where she was right before this. So they're talking about there's a fleet. There's just a Starfleet coming, and they're coming to Earth. So we got to get out there. And we got some super cool ads. Look at that shirt. I want that shirt. I also want Slim Jims. I also want strong arms. And I'm going fast because I've been talking for 45 minutes. Jeez. So what are they doing? Just look at these drawings over here. Oh man, I'm just in awe of this comic book. Jim Starlin's still making comics. You can find him on Indiegogo or Kickstarter. I forget where. I'll look it up and I'll put links in the description to modern Jim Starlin stuff. He has a comic called The Inevitable, I think. It's basically him capitalizing on the idea that he made Thanos, and he should. So they're all monologuing, talking. I think these couple of pages are filler. They're in the spaceship and they're contemplating the nature of the universe. They're talking about their past. They're talking about how Marvel has stakes in this now because at one point he was connected physically and mentally connected to Rick Jones. That became like an homage to Shazam, Captain Marvel. He would bang they're doing a kind of spoof on it in the new movie The Marvels. He bangs the bands together and him and Rick Jones would switch places. Only one of them could. One of them was in the negative zone. One of them was on the prime material plane, our world. So they're all talking. Thor's like, is he really a god? Blah blah blah. And he's just like, Even though I'm not alive, I must save humanity. And he's just like, this is like no difference than the boys going off to Normandy, And the Beast is just like, what am I doing here? And Scarlet Witch is being mysterious like the Scarlet Witch does. So look at this. Look at that fleet. They're all like, we are here now. Ready? Let's go. So Iron Man doesn't need a spacesuit. He's Iron Man. He is in a spacesuit. Thor is a god. He doesn't need a spacesuit. And I love how he could talk in space. Why? F you. He could talk in space. And just smashing ships for Midgard for life. For Midgard, for Asgard, for life. Just smashing stuff. And Iron Man's just taking out planes and this is just everything. Thor's getting zapped by laser beams. I am Thor, the god of thunder. It's just look at that. He's just blowing up ships, debris flying around the place. And what are the less space worthy Avengers doing? That they're landing on Thanos' prime ship. So this is Thanos' ship. The docking. They're establishing an oxygen port, and Captain Marvel just blasted. Why didn't Captain Marvel go out there and fight? Now that I'm thinking about it, he is the ultimate space hero. That's his purview. So whatever they go, I guess he wants to get directly to Thanos. So they're all just bursting in. Look at that panel, Pete. What do you think about that? Look at the action in that. That is just so cool. Old Marvel rule: if it's cool, do it. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And bodybuilding course. That's cool. Let's all do that. We'll get some BB guns. All awesome. And look at this page. Not a word on it. Not a word on this page. Not a sound effect. Not nothing. Nothing is needed. This page is just glorious. Look at all of this. You know, and I'm no fool. This is definitely inspired by Star Wars, the Cantina. Again, Star Wars came out in May. Did this come out before Star Wars? I don't know. Just great comic. Yeah, look at this battle. So she's using her mind powers. She's using her hex. Just everybody's doing what everybody could do. Just awesome. Beast, and this is the Beast that I always loved. He's not whining, oh, yeah. He's just having fun. Beast already acknowledged. He goes, I'm probably going off to die here. This is not like, Magneto's a threat and everything like that, but Magneto's not blowing up stars and commanding an army of space aliens with high tech. So he's just like, all right, he's dealing with his fear by being jovial. Look at the Vision, just standing resolute, like, this guy's shooting him and he turns ghost-like. So the blast just goes through him and takes out people behind him, and he's just like, you cannot hurt me. He was loquacious in battle. Now, they always make Scarlet Witch's powers is always done differently. And what it's supposed to be is that she points at you. If she likes you, you get good luck. If she doesn't like you, you get bad luck. That's it. That's her powers. And so, but they always throw out like space blasts. So then they always just like say that she has hex bolts and stuff like that. But really, it's just the nature of comic books. She's pointing, the energy is hitting that, and then this has bad luck. So that the whoozy what's it overheats and explodes. She's not blasting it, but that's the way, I guess it's just pointing at stuff is not as dramatic as laser beams. And look at her now. She's going to show off her martial arts powers with some great music. She's going to play guitar for him. Doesn't he look like a swell fella? Don't you just want to hang out with him? That swell fella. Look at that. Okay. Captain America is doing what Captain America does, being agile and beating crap out of everybody. Just, tumbling aliens. And there's Vision. Everybody gets a chance to be cool. Everybody gets a chance to be cool. And then, the Beast gets caught. But not when Captain Marvel's there. Captain Marvel is going to fight Thanos. I've saved the Beast. Look at this. He smashes open the door. And what do we have? Look at the cruelty of Thanos. The cruelty of Thanos. Adam Warlock, that whole fight, he's just sitting here mourning his friend. Why? Thanos destroyed his mind. Thanos just messed with him because he was Is he helpless? Well, I don't know. He could fight, but, not against Thanos. He just destroyed his brain. He was Pip. He was my friend, my only friend. He was joy and light in my darkness and damnation. He was unique among the heavens. And Thanos destroyed his mind and left him for me to fight. First Gamora and Pip and all those that I love are failing. This cannot be allowed to go on. Nor by the gem shallot. So he just takes in Pip, his friend. So Pip will live on in Adam Warlock. And look, Captain Marvel has nothing to say. If you wish to stop Thanos, come with me. I know where he hides. This is a single issue. Yes, these, like I said at the beginning. Sorry about that. This, like I said, sorry about that. There's a storm. I hope I didn't lose anybody. I lost 3 people. Oh well, there's nothing I can do about that. This storm is really bad. So now the Avengers are going around. They're fighting everybody, and then Thanos is agitating the sun with his magic science powers. And here we got, to me, in my eyes, this is Jim Starlin right here, Captain Marvel and Adam Warlock. Oh my God! And you know what's funny? I keep talking about how I play a role playing game called Villains and Vigilantes. Well, my friend Joe, I'm not going to mention last names, but Joe made up a character called Captain Strength. You know, he didn't play with us too often, and Captain Strength was he had super strength and nunchucks. You know, and that was his power. And he wore a T-shirt into battle with Budweiser logo on it. And his weakness was he was an alcoholic. That's what he thought was a great superhero character. So, you know, so I created up Captain Warlock. And Captain Warlock was Captain Marvel and Adam Warlock combined. And I drew, you know, believe it or not, I used to draw not nowhere near professional, nowhere good, but everybody who likes comic books draws at some point. And I drew the Captain Warlock costume and everything like that. And the story was he was going on a secret mission, and he couldn't let anybody know that Frank Cannon, Captain Strength, was on the mission. He had to be Captain Warlock. And he liked it, and that became his character from now on. Well, when that group, we were like, you know, it ended around 14. We all went on us whatever, started to discover girls, stopped that. Well, it believe it or not, in my late 40s, I met my friend Jimmy, and he has a character, and we just thought it would be funny to bring back some. So he brought back his original character, the Dark Warrior, and then his next character, he didn't realize it, but he made up. The guy had amnesia and everything like that, and they gave him a disguise. He became Captain Warlock. So there you go. Totally inspired by this panel, by these two guys. But that's neither here nor there. So this is energy that was stolen from the Soul Gem that is powering Thanos' Star Destroyer beam. So Captain Marvel flies into it and wrecks it. So there, the sun is saved. But that also takes out Captain Marvel. So Captain Marvel took himself out, self-sacrifice because he's a hero, and is defeated. Thanos is pausing to watch. Both those characters are variants of Captain Shazam. Yep. So So Adam Warlock now. Just see, he's enjoying. He defeats himself rather than turn around and if he just stands there staring at the defeated body of Captain Marvel. He's like, oh, that was almost worth it. So he's gets punched, and now he's like, what? You know, that hurt. He's swatting him around, battling him, and he just unleashes his full power. And look at this. You got the skull over here. Adam Warlock falls down. The end. You're gone. You know, what is going on? What is going on? How strange. I never dreamed it would end so easily. You know, he was truly a chosen hero of chaos and order of life. See, that's why I firmly believe it was Michael Moorcock. Michael Moorcock was obsessed with this order and chaos, the eternal battle, the eternal struggle between law and order. And that's what the Eternal Champion was like a perfect amalgamation of law and chaos to see, you know, which was more powerful. In the end, they brought balance, you know, whatever. And Thanos is just Malvin, Michael Moorcock. So he just, excuse me, pardon me about that. So he's just standing there looking at he knows the Avengers are there. He ain't stupid. He's got sensors. But what's he doing? He's gloating. He's monologuing. He's a villain. He sets up the means of his own defeat. What's going on? Boom. Here come the Avengers. Thor, Iron Man. You know, they were outside fighting. And look at that panel. Look at that panel. Thor's going toe-to-toe with Thanos. Does comic books get any better than that? Iron Man's flying above. And what does he do? He shatters this gem. So that machine cannot be rebuilt because, you know, he's like, "What are you doing? You blew it up, my beam. Oh, my one chance to regain that which I love." He goes, you know, "What are you doing?" So now he just teleporting out of there. Boom. Thanos is smart. He may do stupid things, but he ain't dumb. He may be dumb, but he ain't stupid. There's no need to fight. The battle is lost. He came here to destroy the sun. He's not going to just risk it all and battle. So Captain Marvel's waking up, and what does he see? So, the Avengers leave. Oh, what is this? Meanwhile, in the adjoining chamber. So this is the adjoining chamber. The rest of the Avengers don't see this. Captain Marvel wakes up. What does he see? He sees Adam Warlock talking to Adam Warlock. What is going on? And I don't want to read this all, but I'm gonna. Do you know why I am here? Then you must realize I have no desire to do what I must do. Of course I understand, you idealistic buffoon. Am I not you? Are you and I not the same person? Because my final moments are upon me. I am dying, and you have come to steal my soul, that it will never become the foe I've defeated those long months ago. Months. I didn't realize it had happened such a short time ago. A short time. My fool, it's been an eternity. During that time, everything I've ever cared for, accomplished, has fallen into ruin. Everyone I've ever loved now lies dead. My life has been a failure. I welcome its end. And he just activates the soul gem. Captain Marvel's the only witness. He goes, Marvel, what transpired here? He goes, I don't know. So look at this. Adam Warlock travels into time to kill himself. He absorbs himself into the soul gem. So now Adam Warlock has kind of a happy ending, if you want to call that a happy ending, because he gets to spend eternity with the woman he loves, Gamora. In the comic books, Marvel is not the love. Adam Warlock is the lover of Gamora, not Star-Lord. Star-Lord's not even in the Marvel universe at this point. And why does he do this? Because in the future, in the far future, Adam Warlock just increases in power, and power corrupts. He becomes the Magus, and the Magus is like a Galactus level threat that runs an empire of oppression, because he remembers that he was created to be worshipped. He was created to be a god, and that's what he evolves into. The Magus rules a galaxy with a theological, religious fervor of oppression, and he forms the Church of Universal Truth. It is such a great comic, and the Magus realizes that the only threat to him is himself. So the Magus goes back in time to not destroy Adam Warlock, but to goad him onto the path so that he could be created. It's just wonderful comic book stuff. So now, in this infinite loop of paradoxes, he comes to make sure that this because right now he's becoming bitter. Look, at everything I've ever loved is dead. I welcome death. Blah, blah, blah. Right now, he's about to become Adam Warlock. I mean, he's about to become the Magus. So he kills him and takes his soul into him, closing the loop. The Magus is truly defeated. Just wonderful stuff. Just wonderful stuff. And he's just like, what's going on? He's explaining what's going on. He's colored green now because welcome to the Soul Stone. Here's Pip. Here's everybody. Live your life in paradise. He goes, he's at peace now. He's like, really? Look at, he's smiling. And these are the people that he accidentally killed. Remember, the gem is hungry. The gem wants to absorb your souls. The gem wants to devour people. And these are the people that Adam took without realizing it before he learned to control the soul gem. And he's gone off to paradise. And then it says, to be continued in Spider-Man The Thing, Marvel 2-in-1. So that was last week's video. This is this week's video. This was comic books. This was comic books, guys. Do you understand when I just get so disgusted with modern comic books? Look at this. This is paradoxes, time travel, and it doesn't hurt your brain. It makes sense. It's just so good. Shows whatever. I could rant and rave. We've got Nova, Power Man, and Iron Fist. Here comes Daredevil. The Rampaging Hulk was a magazine, so it was a little bit. I don't have any issues of Rampaging Hulk. That's a big hole in my collection. And look at this Spy Scope. And look at this Spalding ad. Rick Barry and Dr. J. Look, drawn by, I think this is Jack Davis of Mad Magazine fame. Just everything. Even the ads were outstanding back then. So guys, all right, I still got 5 people watching. I've been talking for an hour. What do you think? Anybody want to comment? Anybody want to say anything? I'm going to just take a sip of coffee while everybody's gathering up their thoughts. Abrex says, Star-Lord appeared first in a magazine. Yes. Yes, I have those. Maybe that's a good idea for a showcase. Maybe I'll break them out. For those of you who are interested in a preview, this will be next Sunday's comic, No Man #2, uh, 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 a tie-in to the Thunder Agents. It's just too big to do a regular showcase because all of those old Thunder Agents comics were double-sized annuals. So that'll be next Sunday comics. But anyway, yes, good idea, Abrax. If you can, could you send me an email at jlongbox@yahoo.com and to remind me to pull out that Star-Lord magazine and actually read it. I haven't even read it yet because I can't showcase a comic till I read it. But that's a good idea. Anybody else have any comments? Anything? Anything, Bueller? All right. So thank you everybody for showing up. I enjoyed doing these Sunday comics. They're a blast for me. I can't believe every week. Every week I seem to get more and more interaction, which is just wonderful. For your information, Star Wars came out May 25th. So this book is released July. But Howard Chaykin has scripted Marvel. Okay, yeah, absolutely right. So, and this was probably drawn almost a year before. So you know, I'm. I don't think it's a coincidence that it's that. Well, first off, Thanos was inspired by Darkseid. Even Jim Starlin admitted that, and Darkseid influenced Darth Vader. There you go. No joke there. So in a roundabout way, it makes sense. Yes, Howard Chaykin had a script beforehand, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't like the Marvel Star Wars comic because it wasn't slavishly reproductive of the Star Wars movie, but that's because he worked on a script and a couple of stills, and I think things changed in the meantime. So I don't know. There's no way that Jim Starlin didn't know about Star Wars, but you know what? So what? So what? Look at this. This is just awesome. All right. Thank you, Kevin, for giving me the dates. I wasn't smart enough to look up the dates beforehand. So what do you guys think? This is awesome. Pete, what do you think? This is just awesome. Awesome. Jeff, all you, Lacey. I haven't heard from Lacey. This is just the best. This is the pinnacle of comic books. This is, it took Star Wars and now the Marvel movies now they couldn't catch up to the awesomeness of this comic book until recent team. So the Cantina scene might be from that. Yeah, okay. I wonder if the design of Thanos' ship was influenced by TIE fighters or if it's a coincidence, because I'm pretty sure Thanos has been around for a while at this point, and I don't know if his flagship was around. I gotta check that out. But there you go. All right, now I'm just babbling. Now I'm just rambling. I'm not really saying anything. I'll talk for a couple. I'm gonna take another sip of coffee, and if we're done talking, we're done talking. Here you go, sip of coffee. Okay, it looks like we're done. Thank you guys so much. I enjoy these. These are a blast. Next Sunday, I'm going to do No Man from the Thunder Agents, issue #2, because I thought issue #2 was a better issue than issue #1. All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody. Oh, I'll see you tomorrow with another video, but I'll see you at Sunday Comics next week. And then this Wednesday, I'm having a live chat with Renzo Rodriguez, the artist from Mexico. His English isn't that great, so we'll work it out. All right, bye-bye.